It's the home stretch of the college basketball season. We've got plenty of takes and plenty of big games.
I've got revenge on my mind. I'm taking on Drew Albaugh in the juicer. Let's go.
A whole lot to break down on this 45-minute edition of No Pulp. It starts right now. Lane Kiffin is the same old scumbag who takes off for the next best thing again.
I have a man crush, and it's Caleb Wilson, Max. I love this guy.
Solano's in trouble. Hit as he throws. Hangs it up towards the end zone. And it's intercepted! Virginia has done it!
You can never doubt UConn. You can never doubt Gino Auriemma at the end of the day.
I feel like you could have blocked a 6'4 linebacker coming at you while you were.
Goal or no! Holloman looks the clock. Half court for the win!
When you got the best player in the country, you can really do anything.
Nobody expected DJ Lagway to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country because last year he wasn't good either.
First time, how are we feeling, Jake?
I'm excited to win the juicer.
A century of futility is forgotten. The Indiana Hoosiers are the kings of college football.
Wow. What a new intro for No Pulp. It begins right now with Adam Hipsky. I'm Jake Klein. So much to break down in the world of college hoops as we come down the home stretch of the regular season and look ahead toward the postseason. Adam, let's start with the big one on Saturday. Number 16, Texas Tech takes down number 1 Arizona 78-75 in OT. Are you concerned about the Wildcats?
A little bit. I mean, Koa Pete obviously gets injured in that game. But if you're going to be a national title contender, not everything's going to come up your way come March when you're playing games on 48 hours rest. So what I saw from Arizona was a team that was not prepared to play without, listen, I understand that Koa Pete's their best player and the straw that stirs the drink for this Wildcats group, but I mean, you have to adjust. You have to have other guys step up. I didn't see a team that was ready for it.
I almost like it a little bit. Like, it takes me back to that 2021 Gonzaga team where they didn't lose a game until all the way at the end when it was too late, and that was the nail in the coffin. I like a couple of losses for a top team headed into March Madness. Face some adversity, go through a couple of battles, learn how to win without your best player. I think that's helpful for a top team.
And the Arizona schedule, when you look at how backloaded it is with the top teams in the Big 12, this is going to be the toughest slate for the Wildcats coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, you just had Texas Tech. Then you look ahead, you have BYU, Houston, Kansas, and Iowa State on your horizons as well, at Baylor sandwiched in between those two.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona very well could be losers of 3 of 4 in a row. Could be worse. So, lot to worry about if you're an Arizona fan. Look, I think they're going to be okay. On the Texas Tech side, 31 points and 13 rebounds for JT Toppin, who I said on this program before the season was going to win the Wooden Award. His odds are looking pretty good right now. Here's what his head coach, Grant McCasland, had to say about him.
But, man, I love the fight of this team, and these two guys wouldn't let us lose. That's it. That's what I'll tell you. I mean, JT Toppin was not going to be denied at the end of this game. His collective fight, the way these guys have been practicing every day, I mean, we've practiced as hard these last couple weeks as we have all year long.
Adam, JT Toppin is legit.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I think that JT Toppin and Christian Anderson is the best offensive scoring duo in the entire country. Anywhere in the nation you look, JT Toppin obviously is the guy. He is the one that everyone follows. And when you have that interior threat with Toppin, when he can collapse a defense and he can kick out, it makes an Arizona defense that coming into the game was the best paint protecting defense across the entire country, made it look like a joke. Toppin can go to work inside. When he has the ability to step out, 31 points and 13 rebounds. That's what happens. And Christian Anderson has continued to get better and better every year under Grant McCasland, and right now it feels like those two are hitting their prime form.
Yeah, I agree on Christian Anderson. I've been in on JT Toppin since day one. I don't know if I knew that Christian Anderson was going to be what he has been this season for Texas Tech. Great player for them. Elite scorer, kind of out of nowhere.
Absolutely. And listen, the athleticism might not be there. The size might not be there. But this is one of those guys that you can look at as an elite college player. And you see it right there. 2 players on the Wooden Award top 20 list. There's a reason for it. And they both possess such different skills that make this team so versatile. And then you throw in Donovan Atwell in there, a guy that's shooting nearly 50% from three as another sniper. I mean, this Texas Tech, and that's what Grant McCaslin does.
Yeah.
He builds
Fantastic
rosters
coach.
so they don't have holes and they don't have weaknesses, and they can walk into a schedule that has the fourth hardest strength in all of Division I and walk through it and win plenty of ball games.
Yeah.
You can't say that about a lot of teams.
I love Grant McCaslin.
Yeah.
He was such a great coach when he was at North Texas, and he has done such a good job. No surprise with all that money at Texas Tech.
Got to stay in the Big 12, though. Houston and Iowa State, a marquee matchup in Hilton Coliseum, and it's the home Cyclones that pull it out 70-67, an up-and-down game, but it was really TJ Otzelberger's crew that pulled away late, Jake.
Yeah, TJ Otzelberger, interesting guy, likes the medium polo for sure. I don't know. This game kind of bothered me. At the end of the day, I think Houston played the better game, and Iowa State capitalized on some of the bad breaks that Houston got. I'm still a believer in Houston. I'm not pushing the panic button by any means.
I agree, but this is a rarity with Houston. This is not common for Kelvin Sampson's group. I actually think their offense is a little bit ahead of their defense right now, and if this team wants to play to its full potential and its highest ceiling, I think they need to get drastically better on the defensive end. They have the pieces, they have the length, they have the experience. They just haven't put it all together quite yet.
Yeah, I got to be completely honest. I don't think it's fair to say they haven't put it all together. They were the number 2 team in the country coming into this. They're playing one of the toughest leagues in the country.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion, Houston got screwed in this game. They were the victims of one of the worst calls that I have ever seen that completely changed the way this game went. Houston was rolling in this game until this one horrible call came along. You'll see it right here and why the Houston players are so upset. Houston's up 8. They are rolling. They're going to pick up a huge road win, and they turn over Iowa State here, and a kick ball is called on a ball that did not go anywhere near a player's foot. What does Iowa State do after that horrible call? They hit a 3, they go on an 11-2 run, and they win the game.
Counterpoint, this is a team that has pieces that went to a Final Four. You have to battle through one bad call. Did it alter the game? Yes. Did it change the momentum?
Then there it is.
Yes, but you have to battle through that. There's going to be plays throughout the duration of a 40-minute college basketball game that are not going to go your way. Now you have to find a way to battle through it and figure out a way to win.
This right here is why I'm not worried about Houston. Look, Kelvin Sampson, I think it's a when, not an if, he'll get a national championship. I know he's getting up there in age. I know it feels like Houston is running out of time. Look, they came so close last year to finally getting that national title under Kelvin Sampson. I think they've got as good a chance as anybody, seriously, to do it this season because, yeah, I know their defense hasn't been up to their standard, but at the end of the day, it is always one of the best defenses in the country. You see it, 61 points per game, second fewest in D1.
I know they have the veteran presences with JoJo Tugler and Emmanuel Sharp, but does it worry you that Kingston Flemings has kind of taken on that larger role?
Not at all.
Having a freshman as your go-to scorer.
I think this is one of the best starting 5s in college basketball. I love the other freshman, the big man, Chris Sinak, as well. Fantastic.
I agree. I think that I have a little bit of concern in Kingston Flemings as a guy that's going to go into March Madness for his first time as the go-to scorer. Not to say that he can't do it, not to say that
they have those others to fall back on, though.
I agree. Emmanuel Sharp is fantastic.
All right, let's go to the SEC. Florida, the number 14 team in the country, against the number 25 Kentucky Wildcats. What a bizarre season it has been for Mark Pope and Kentucky. Florida takes this one 92-83. What did you make of this SEC battle?
Well, I want to start on the Florida side, 10 wins in its last 11 games. And Todd Golden, you knew coming off a national championship season, he had a good roster. He had the momentum on his side, but early in the year, it was like Florida has kind of lost a little bit, and Xavier Lee wasn't playing well, the transfer from Princeton, and it was like, okay, well, they have some pieces, but they haven't put the puzzle all together. But Todd Golden, he's a national championship winning coach for a reason, and he's got these guys playing the best basketball that they've played all year.
Here's what Todd Golden had to say after the win.
They're talented, obviously $22 million roster. They're physical. They're big. And, I expect them to do well the rest of the year. They're a really good team.
Wow. $22 million roster. How do you like that?
Yeah, it's a shot. And it seems like every week it's the Real Housewives of SEC basketball head coaches. You got Nate Oates firing shots. You've got Stephen Pearl getting into the mix. It makes for an interesting Saturday, though, when you know you've got a full slate of SEC basketball and you're going to get just as entertaining of a press conference afterwards as you will a basketball game.
I will say he's not wrong. Kentucky has been such a disappointment this season. I know they've picked it up at late, or at least they had headed into this game. I still think this whole season, considering the level of talent, and as Todd Golden alluded to, the amount of money that was spent on this roster, the fact that it has not gone well, in my opinion, is an indictment on Mark Pope.
I agree. It's an interesting team, though, because you mentioned it. They started to figure it out. After that sputtering start, they were 12-4 since.
Yeah.
So they had started to put it together, but then, listen, it's hard to go, it's hard to win 75% of your games in the SEC. So I'm not surprised that Kentucky dropped a road matchup against Florida, but
this is Kentucky. This is supposed to be a team that wins 75% of its games in the SEC.
But then you've got a Florida team. I understand that, but you've also got a Florida team that's coming off a national championship winning season.
Yeah.
And what Todd Golden didn't mention in that quote right there was the amount of money that he had to build his roster too. Like, he gets to go out into the transfer portal and get some high-end guys. Xavier Lee was one of the most coveted portal hauls across the entire country.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily 100% sold on Florida either, by the way. They've had their inconsistencies as well. And Xavier Lee, the guy you just mentioned who came from Princeton, has been maybe chief among those inconsistent players for Florida. Look, Boogie Flan's been up and down, but in my opinion, this Florida team, as good as the front court is, goes the way Xavier Lee goes.
And early in the season, when they were losing and they kind of, people were looking at them, is this the same team or is this the same program? Was it a one-hit wonder back last season when they won a national title? Those few losses, very few were by more than 2 possessions. So when you've got Florida playing a tough non-conference and you've got new transfer pieces, I don't think it was expected by anyone to have it figured out right out of the gate. I think Florida was fine, and you see them starting to hit their stride in SEC play. I think they're going to continue to keep it rolling. Maybe not as talented of a roster, but I think that they can win in a more versatile, a more variety of ways.
Yeah, we'll check out the SEC standings, but look, Florida right there at the top, I'm still not sold on them. I think it's a team that could lose first weekend, just as easily could make a Final Four run. But boy, this SEC is so stacked.
Yeah, aren't those teams fun though? The ones that can lose first weekend, lose first round. Yeah, Florida could absolutely bow out by 2:30 on Thursday afternoon. I think that Vanderbilt right there on their tails, I think they've got a really solid squad, some pieces. If they get healthy, I kind of like the Commodores to sneak up on the SEC and maybe hoist a trophy in Nashville.
Yeah, it's a deep conference though. Like, we look at all those teams at the top, but a lot of those teams that are closer to the bottom, and this is what makes the SEC so fun, a Georgia, a Texas, they can bite you on a bad day.
Well, absolutely. In Georgia, earlier in the year, this was a team that people looked at as maybe a top 20 team, a team that could be within the top 5 seed lines. So, yeah, of course, Georgia, and what's great about the SEC is no matter what environment you're going to walk into, it's going to be a hostile one. It's tough to win on the road anywhere in college basketball, but that pertains especially to the SEC.
Hostile environment coming up next. Drew Albaugh tries to win on the road in the juicer against this guy, Adam Hipsky, when we return on No Pulp. Stick around.
Welcome to my house. Lately, not my happy place. Everybody's pretty tired of each other. The parents were not themselves. My little brothers were morphing into small creatures. The walls were closing in. Clearly, a case of too much family, too close, 24/7. And there's a lot of that going around right now. If this sounds like your house, try going someplace new. YourLifeYourVoice.org. You'll find lots of ideas to help you handle the family stresses of being confined to close quarters. YourLifeYourVoice.org. It might not get you out of the house, but it could help you find a little more breathing room.
Oh yeah, juicer time. We're back. Drew Albaugh, the challenger, is in the house, taking on Adam Hipsky. Gentlemen, how are we feeling?
I beat him already last year.
That did happen.
1-0 against Adam, so feeling pretty good.
First question worth a point, second worth 2, 3 worth 3. We'll go to the bonus if we need. Drew, we'll start with you. The best conference in college basketball.
I think this is pretty clear. I'm going to go with the Big 12. Look, the Big 12 is so top-heavy. 4 teams in the top 8. Are you kidding me? Number 2, number 4, number 6, and number 8. You got Arizona, Houston, Iowa State, and Kansas. It's such a top-heavy conference. And for my money, it's going to have the winner of the NCAA title when all is said and done. Not just that, Texas Tech, just outside the top 12 at number 13, coming off that big win over Arizona. And then BYU, you know, obviously some struggles at the edge of the top 25. But if BYU gets hot, that's another potential title contender. I'm going with the Big 12.
Adam, your conference.
Big 12, Bigger 10. You mentioned that Arizona or the Big 12 has a national title winner. Well, they don't, because Michigan is going to cut down the nets in April. It's the Big 10 that is the best conference in college basketball. Listen, they might not have the most depth, but top heavy. And this is a top-heavy conference unlike anything we've ever seen. Michigan, the #1 team in the country. You've got Purdue, Nebraska, and Illinois, 3 teams also ranked in the top 10. And Michigan State, listen, this is a Tom Izzo-led group with the best point guard in the country.
Oh, come on.
And they're not even a team in the top 10. You look 1 through 5, you can't get better than that. The Big 10 is absolutely better than the Big 12.
Your argument's top heavy, but I got 4 teams in the top 8. You got just 2.
For the record, both of you argued that your conference was top heavy, which is a horrendous argument to make when debating which is the best conference.
Oh, come on.
I think the Big 10 is a little more top heavy. I'm going to go with the Big 12. Drew Albaugh takes the first point in this juicer.
More top heavy conference?
All right, question 2 worth 2 points. Again, we'll start with Drew. The most underrated player in college basketball is?
Somehow a 6'8 guard out of Texas named Dalen Swain is underrated. I don't know how this is possible, but Dalen Swain right now somehow not getting any national attention despite leading the Longhorns in points with 17 per contest, rebounds 7 a game, assists with 3 a contest, and steals with 2 as well. Dalen Swain, so good, 6'8", but he plays like a 6'3 guard. And how about it? He also took home Defensive Player of the Week in the SEC. I mean, this is a guy that is so tough at everything he does, and he needs more appreciation. Can someone give appreciation to my guy, Dalen Swain? He's been so good.
Listen, anyone can lead a mediocre team, but not everyone can lead a top 10 team. I'm going to say this sentence. Top 10 Nebraska. Who would have thought that? And Price Sanford is the one who leads the charge for the Cornhuskers. And listen, I'm going to say it again. Top 10 Nebraska. Price Sanford has led the Cornhuskers on the road into East Lansing. This is a fan base in Lincoln, Nebraska that is phenomenal. But they haven't really had basketball to cheer for, and they haven't had football to cheer for, and that's what they're known for over the last 20 years. But Price Sanford has given a breath of fresh air to this basketball fan base. 3-level scorer, 40% from 3. He's unbelievable, and most importantly, he's doing it at Nebraska.
But it's underrated.
It's a tough call.
Everyone knows him.
It's a tough call. I don't know if anybody on Nebraska basketball is a household name. I love me some Nebraska ball.
Come on.
I'm going to go with Price Sanford for this second question and give the 2 points to Adam Hipsky, who takes the 2-1 lead. So this third question is for all the marbles. Adam, the coach in college hoops, who is doing the most with the least.
It's Josh Schertz from St. Louis, because St. Louis is in an
unfortunate night to pick St. Louis today.
Conference. Josh Schertz in an Atlantic 10 conference that's made the tournament just once in the last 12 years, so you can't really say that they've got the resources. They don't have the money to win the A10 every year, but Josh Schertz has taken over the reins. And listen, I'm going to say this. They are second in all of Division I offensively in effective field goal percentage, and on the defensive end, they're first in all of Division I. I mean, that's absurd. they would be undefeated without a loss tonight, and without that loss to Stanford that was a fluke loss late. They're playing good teams. They're playing a solid mid-major slate, and Josh Schertz has them with just 2 losses late in February.
Yeah, 2 losses, because a loss to Rhode Island cannot just get swept under the rug. I mean, you got a defense for that one?
It was a tough one. Archie Miller.
Not much over here.
Archie Miller more locked in than a CPA.
Oh, come on. I'm going to go with a guy who his team actually hasn't lost yet and took care of business. A close win, 9 points against UMass. I'm going to go with Travis Steele. And he is the head coach for Miami University. You don't need the Ohio, because Miami University might be the best mid-major team outside of the Gonzagas of the world and all of those teams that everyone knows of. But maybe the most surprising team in all of college basketball, and it's led by Travis Steele. Wasn't even meant to win the MAC at the start of the year, and yet somehow leading this Red Hawk squad to a perfect 26-0. Just 2 preseason All-MAC players, just 2 seniors on this entire roster, and somehow Steele has this team in the top 25, has this team undefeated. Your team lost to Rhode Island.
You're playing Buffalo.
Your team lost to Rhode Island.
When you look at the Atlantic 10 top to bottom, and you look at the MAC top to bottom,
oh, come on.
It is a walk in the park.
Your team's not going to be in the top 25 now after a loss today.
I think they absolutely will.
What?
Because they have better
Rhode Island?
wins. They have better wins. Okay. If
Miami
Ohio was 2 points away,
Miami University. Let's treat the Red Hawks with respect. That's their team name.
UMass.
9-point win.
They lost by, or they won by 2 earlier in the year.
They've had plenty of close calls
and plenty of close wins.
Ball State.
26-0.
It's a tough call.
26-0.
I think Josh Schertz is the better of these 2 coaches, but the question was not which is the better coach. It's who's doing more with less. And Josh Schertz has more resources and a worse record than Travis Steele. So Drew Albaugh comes in. He goes to 2-0 in the head-to-head matchup against Adam Hipsky in the Juicer. They do shake hands. Let's check out the Juicer standings for the first time this semester as we creep towards our own postseason. Look at Drew Albaugh sitting pretty tied for 3rd. Milo Huffman now on the outside of the bubble.
Sorry, Milo.
Looking in. Hey, Adam Hipsky's still in there, so keep your head up for now.
All right, tied for 6th.
Wow. Juicer tournament and a whole lot more Juicers still to come on No Pulp throughout the semester, but for now, we will step aside. Don't go anywhere. No Pulp rolls on after this.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to No Pulp with Jake Klein. I'm Adam Hipsky. Jake, it's time for a little swap or stay.
I love game shows.
And we are going to do one here, and it's time to exercise some judgment. You've got a couple of cases. We're going to start with a dark horse team in college basketball. Jake, you're going to have a team to decide from, and then if you like it, you can keep it, or we can evaluate whether or not case 1 or 2 is the lay. So we start with dark horse, and the team that we bring in is the Louisville Cardinals as a dark horse. Pat Kelsey's got a good group down there in Louisville, but do you like them as a dark horse?
So I've got a lifeline here, but I think I've got a pretty good beat on this. Yes, I do like Louisville as a dark horse candidate. And the reason why, the number one reason why, is because of its coach, Pat Kelsey. The guy's not that old, but people forget he's been to March Madness 5 times at 3 different schools already. So I'm pretty confident in Pat Kelsey, no doubt about it. Obviously, they've got Michael Brown, who's one of the best players, one of the best scorers, not only in the ACC, but in my opinion, in the entire country. But it just comes down to the coaching for me. Look, Louisville is a team that's been there and done that, not with this group of players really, but they've got a coach who has been there and done that, knows how to win in March. I'm really impressed by them. I think a lot of people are not as bullish on them because they did have some tough losses earlier in the season. The net looks really good. They're winning games in the ACC. I don't know what these other cases would have held, but boy, I like Louisville as a dark horse. I think they're overhated, maybe underrated.
I think the fact that they're in the ACC does help them fly under the radar
agreed.
a little bit, because when you look at the marquee matchups on a Saturday slate, a lot of it circles around the SEC, the Big 12, and the Big 10. So when Louisville kind of goes through, week after week and doesn't play a Duke or a UNC, you allow them to go 3-4 weeks without playing a chance to get a signature win.
I agree, though. The ACC gets a bad rep, in my opinion, right? You say there's no chance for a signature win. I think there's a lot of good teams in the ACC, and people have decided that somehow the ACC is super top-heavy with 3 or 4 good teams and everybody else is just bad. I don't agree with that at all. I think everybody else is good. Maybe not everybody, but I think a lot of the teams in this league are very good teams that don't, frankly, get enough national recognition. Louisville handles a lot of those teams on a week-in, week-out basis. I think the ACC has shown in recent years it can make deep runs in March. That's a team that could do it.
Absolutely. The offense is potent. All right, let's bring in who you missed out on as a dark horse, Arkansas and Virginia. I'm not as big in on the Razorbacks,
yeah, I agree.
But I like the Cavaliers. I like what Ryan Odom's built.
Yeah, I'm totally in lockstep with you right there. As soon as I see Arkansas, I say, that's a first 3 rounds exit right there for Coach Cal, because that's what Coach Cal does. He exits in the first 3 rounds after he sits in the top 25 the whole season. So I've got no concern about not being able to take Arkansas as my dark horse. Virginia, though, I kind of agree. Like what Ryan Odom has done in year 1, they're not your father's Virginia team with Tony Bennett. They play fast. They rebound the heck out of the ball. I do think Virginia is going to be a tough out. That's one maybe I wish I had.
It's not quite the defense that Tony Bennett had, not that Wolf Pack.
A much higher scoring team, though.
Absolutely. And what I like in the similarities between Ryan Odom and Tony Bennett is you get shooters and you can stretch the floor and you have rim protectors. I think that there are holes in Virginia's team, but I think when you get into March Madness, if you've got a good coach, you can scheme up a good game plan. I mean, listen, this is a guy that took UMBC and beat Virginia. So when I look at Ryan Odom, and you talk about what Pat Kelsey has done with March Madness experience. Does Ryan Odom have as much experience? No. But the experience that he has is he took a team that wasn't as talented and beat a team that was more talented than his group. And there's more likely than not going to be a situation where Ryan Odom's going to have to take Virginia into a matchup in the second weekend where they're going to have to beat a team on a higher seed line than them. So I kind of like Virginia as a dark horse. I think they can string together a couple of wins, maybe get to that Elite 8 Final 4 round.
I like Virginia too. I will say I'm happy with Louisville there. I think, 2 pretty solid ACC teams, both teams that I think could make a run. I think Louisville's the team that's going to make a run if I had to pick between one of those 2. All right, Adam, let's go to your first try here. Biggest pretender, and we'll assign you the Michigan State Spartans. What do you think? Keeping it or opening the case?
I go back and forth about Michigan State because this team has talent. They have a strong point guard, and they're led by Tom Izzo. But I'm not quite sure. I have a phone a friend, right?
You do have a phone a friend.
All right, let's phone the friend. Ryan Croke, what do you think?
Thanks, Adam. Great to have you here in studio with me. I have some concerns about this Michigan State team. Talk about a pretender. Let's talk about the headlines, though. Michigan State, Tom Izzo, a coach who's known for success in March. This year, though, there are some red flags. First, I look at their scoring offense. Okay, they score about 78 points per game, but the red flag for me, that's 23rd out of the 25 teams currently ranked in the AP poll. Not what you want to see out of a team making a deep run in March. The only two teams that are behind them in that category in the top 25 are Houston and Kansas, who I think we can all agree on have much more talent than this Spartan squad. They're 18th of the top 25 in field goal percentage, 19th in three-point percentage. They've only scored 90 twice all season. They beat Toledo and Maryland in those games. Not really powerhouses, especially this season in the case of Maryland. Not really a big fan of Michigan State's scoring offense by any means whatsoever. Next, I look at Jeremy Fears, and I look at his on and off shooting here. This guy's inconsistent as heck. He can give you an efficient 21 night, and the next night he's missing practically everything he puts up. Your kids might call him a free throw merchant. He's had 5 games where he gets 10 or more free throw attempts this season. And I look at the things in bold on this full screen here. Look at the shooting splits. 0 for 10 against Duke, 2 for 8 against Nebraska. You get 9 for 20 and 31 against Michigan, and then you get 7 of 19 and 26 against Illinois. So it's really a mixed bag. You like the assist numbers there, but I'm not really a big fan of the inconsistency shooting the basketball. Not at all. The number one guy on a top team like Michigan State, you want to see a little bit more consistent shooting. Lastly, I look at a team that's cooling off at the wrong time. They've lost 3 of their last 4, and we're coming to conference tournament season, and then the NCAA tournament is right around the corner. It's coming into view. I don't like a team that's playing its worst basketball of the season at this time of year when it's just starting to get ramping up.
So, Adam, Ryan, I think it's safe to say, not a Michigan State fan.
Yeah, he's telling me to stay.
You gonna take his word? You gonna open one of these cases? What do you think?
I am. I was already on the fence about this Michigan State team, but I'm also going to stay with Michigan State as a pretender. I think Jeremy Fears, while I understand the inconsistencies, it's okay to be a point first or a pass first point guard if you have viable scoring options around him. But the problem is the viable scoring options all come within 5 feet of the basket. They have 0 3-point shooting on this team. They're way too one-dimensional in my eyes. I think that's a pretender. They're easy to scheme against. I think that's why they're not quite a contender. I've got them as a pretender.
What'd you miss out on?
Let's see.
Potential other pretenders.
Okay.
Gonzaga, by the way, you should have wanted that one. Huge pretender.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the biggest. Always a pretender as they beat the Portland States of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Season. Absolutely. And, you lose Braden Huff as well, which is, you know, what makes that Gonzaga team go is its front court dominance. Braden Huff, and now it's all on Graham Ike. So I think that when I look at the Bulldogs and I look at Kansas, I'm a fan of Kansas. I don't think they're a pretender whatsoever. Whether Darren Peterson is on the floor or not, you still have Melvin Council, Trey White, and Bryson Tiller, all guys that can be number one scoring options on good basketball teams that make it to the second weekend. I'm okay without Kansas, not so in on Gonzaga. Yeah. I agree they're a pretender. Kind of like how you assessed your first question, but yeah, I'm okay with my Michigan State. I think they can be a first weekend exit.
I would have wanted Gonzaga there.
All right, biggest unknown. Jake, this is to you. For the second one, you still have your phone a friend, by the way. We bring in the biggest unknown. This is a big one because North Carolina dealing with some injuries, not a healthy Tar Heels
That's my
group.
Question.
Jake, you're unknown. What do you think?
Well, I think it's clear that when North Carolina is at full health, they're a pretty darn good team. Yeah. What's the story with the injuries? I don't know. Let's phone a friend. What does Ryan Croke know about the North Carolina injuries?
Well, thanks, Jake. I think this is a great poll to get out of this case. Biggest unknown. I don't know if there is a bigger one right now than today's UNC squad. And the elephant in the room, no Caleb Wilson. Talk about a guy who's one of the best players in the country, an NBA-level talent already. Look at him. 20 points per game, 9 rebounds, 57% from the field. Led his team in points, rebounds, steals, and blocks. Now goes out with injury, eyeing a return for that March 7th Duke game in their regular season finale. Is he going to be 100% when he comes back? You'd hope so, but you don't really know until you see it, and he's going to be out for quite some time. Next, I look at who steps up for him, though. Look at this. Henry Vasar, Seth Trimble, Jaron Stevenson, the next guy's up. All these guys are people who thrive off the gravity of Caleb Wilson. None of these guys are really individual creators in terms of an offense, and I don't love what the Tar Heels have in terms of who's going to step up. Which one of these guys can do it? Can any of them be a number one option? That's a big question mark. And now the biggest question mark, though, maybe besides Caleb Wilson being out, Hubert Davis. This is a guy who the jury's still out on. Is he a great coach? Is he a good coach at all? There's people who hate this guy. There's people who think he's all right. There are people who really don't know. I think it's too early to tell in terms of what this guy can do in getting this Tar Heels team deep into the tournament. He's had some success, some terrible seasons. What can this Tar Heels team do? They have a lot of question marks around him.
Jake,
I'm in agreement.
You heard it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's all over the uncertainty.
And in addition to no Caleb Wilson, now Henry Vessar, the big man, has missed the last 2 games, including a blowout loss they had Tuesday night against NC State. So, Ryan Croke, thank you for the lifeline. I could not agree more. I will stay with the North Carolina Tar Heels. I don't know on Hubert Davis. Most of all, when is Caleb Wilson back? They say soon? No idea what that means. I've got question marks.
There's question marks, that's fair, but are there bigger question marks with our 2 unknowns? Tennessee and Vanderbilt, the Commodores, another team that's dealing with some injuries.
These are both knowns. Mark Byington, great coach, one of the best in the country, the second best coach to come from James Madison in the last few years. Shout out Kurt Signetti. Tennessee is always a known because Slick Rick Barnes is ticketed for yet another early March exit. Rick Barnes' teams are out of there so fast every time. I don't care what they look like in the regular season. I do not consider Tennessee an unknown because I know they ain't winning jack.
Yeah, Jacoby Gillespie is either on or he is really off for Tennessee. Vanderbilt, though, on a similar note of North Carolina, I think they're a little bit of an unknown because of how much they can elevate their game if Frankie Collins and Duke Miles get back onto the court and get healthy. I understand that maybe it's not quite the unknown that Caleb Wilson is because of the floor that the Tar Heels have when Wilson steps off the floor, but I think Vanderbilt's ceiling gets raised a whole heck of a lot higher if they get healthy and those guys return to their full form.
All right, no lifeline left for you. You're on your own. Your contender is Arizona. Real or fake?
A team that just lost 2 in a row. I don't know. Listen, I know they looked really good, but at the start of Big 12 play, they didn't really play any of the upper echelon squads in the Big 12. I'm going to swap on Arizona, but now it's between 1 or 2. I'll go with 1. I'll take the Michigan Wolverines, the current #1 team in the country. Yeah, absolutely. I think they are the best team in college basketball because of how many different ways they can beat you, inside, outside, even if they don't have a great three-point shooting night, which I think is the main knock on Arizona. If they don't shoot it well and Koa Pete's not on the floor, how does this team beat you? I think Michigan, they've got a multitude of options. You can get deep into their bench, even if they've got a guy in foul trouble. Adai Mara averages 25 minutes a game, and you see him right there with the reverse flush. He doesn't need to be on the floor for more than 25 minutes. How many teams can say that they would survive without their guy, their 7'4" post presence on the floor for 15-plus minutes in a game and not lose a step in the front court?
Yeah, I mean, that's about as good a switch as I think you could make.
Yeah.
Look, I said it earlier in the show. I still am not worried about Arizona. I'm definitely not worried about Michigan.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Let's see the one you missed out on, by the way.
Duke.
Yep. That would have been fine, too.
Yeah.
I think you could be happy with all 3 of those, to be quite honest.
I would agree, but I'm okay losing Duke. I think they're great defensively, but do they have enough offense outside of Cameron Boozer? I'm not quite sure. Listen, I love this Michigan team. I think Dusty May does as good of a job at building a roster as anyone in college basketball. All right, stay or swap. A ton of fun here with Jay Klein. Thanks so much to Ryan Croke for joining us, but we've still got more to come after this short break. We'll get into our plays of the week, our final words, and maybe some breakout contenders when the NCAA tournament rolls around. Stick with us on No Pulp.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
You okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back on No Pulp, wrapping up shop. We begin the final stretch with our big three. Adam Hipsky, Jake Klein. We're talking our three biggest March Madness breakout stars this year, and we'll start with mine. Adam, you already talked about him in the juicer. This guy, Price Sanford, is unbelievable for Nebraska ball in the top 10. They've never won an NCAA tournament game. He's going to be the reason why. Second, St. Louis, Robbie Avila. The guy has somehow not played in a March Madness, even though it feels like most of the country knows him. He's going to go mainstream when St. Louis gets in. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Steph Blurry, Larry Blurred, they call him. And finally, Peter Suter from the undefeated Miami, Ohio Redhawks. He is the reason why they're 26-0.
Yeah, I like all of these guys for you, Jake. But I want to look at Christian Anderson, Bennett Sturtz, and Tyler Lundblade. Christian Anderson, Grant McCaslin can't take this guy off the floor. He averages over 38 minutes per game. The only time he hits the bench is in garbage time. There's a reason for that, a pure three-level score. Bennett Sturtz, talking about pure scores. This guy legit. Does it all. He's a guy that when you watch him on March Madness, you can't take your eyes off of him. And then this is the best shooter in college basketball right here. Shoots it at nearly 50% clip for a reason. Tyler Lundblade, he'll be a household name come March.
All right, let's get to our plays of the week. More specifically for me, kind of a not top play, if you will. Indiana's Aiden Stewart has a chance to make the final out, and he throws it away in the ninth inning, allows North Carolina to tie the game. One of the most egregious errors to start the college baseball season at just the worst possible time. Like Chuck Knoblocked it. I don't know how you missed the first baseman from maybe 30 feet away. In the 11th inning, North Carolina goes on to walk it off, and Indiana misses the chance at a huge early season win.
Yeah, that's crunch time. All right, I'm going into college basketball. He goes with the not top play approach. I'm going with the top play approach. Not a better guy you want in transition than Brain Smith, but he finds Jakari Harris. Hammer time. The guy elevates right over the Hawkeye defender in transition. Listen, you don't want to be standing under that rim when Jakari Harris gets a full head of steam. That's exactly what Purdue did right there. Braden Smith across half court and Jakari Harris giving Boilermakers a chance to propel to a victory.
Every year when college football ends, it feels like everything pauses until March Madness tips off. But if you only focus on the mainstream stuff, you're missing out on some of the best moments in college sports. Sure, this is the time of year when college basketball takes center stage, and that's fine. But it's also the start of two of the most fun seasons college sports has to offer: college baseball and college lacrosse. The time where a number 1 versus number 2 lacrosse showdown delivers in the best atmosphere the sport offers. And the time where Baylor freshman Tice Armstrong hits 3 grand slams in the same game. I'll say that again. 3 grand slams in the same game, and yet most fans never even notice. So I want to leave you with this, my final word. Carve out a little bit of time. Flip on a midweek game or check out a midweek series, because the most fun sports in college sports are happening right now, and you're just ignoring them.
All right, I'm going with Keaton Wagler out of Illinois, a guy that came out of high school ranked 261st. Okay, 261st. In a sport where it's all about the 5 stars, best players in the country, McDonald's All-Americans, how about Keaton Wagler, a kid from a small town in Illinois that has come onto the scene and absolutely exploded for Brad Underwood and company. He wasn't supposed to be polished. He wasn't supposed to be in Player of the Year conversations as a freshman, but this guy is now being looped in lists with D'Angelo Russell and Magic Johnson with the stat lines that he's putting up this year. So in a sport that loves hype and rankings and the stars next to names, sometimes the best reminder is this, that development still matters. Patience still matters. And sometimes the quiet kid that's ranked 264 ends up being the loudest story in the country, because right now you can't take your eyes off of this Illinois team, and that's because of Keaton Wagler. So you've got the most loaded freshman class in the country, and you knew it coming out of high school. Caleb Wilson, Koa Pete, Cameron Boozer, but nobody talked about the kid from the small town in the middle of Kansas. And Keaton Wagler has been absolutely phenomenal and given Illinois a chance to not just compete for a Big Ten title, but its first Final Four since 2005.
There you have it. That's a team we didn't talk about in this show, Illinois legit. Thanks so much for joining us on this edition of No Pulp. For my partner, Adam Hipsky, and all those working hard behind the scene, Jake Klein saying so long.